The stage is not complete without a woman. It also tells you how important women are in the society. And today, we will be discussing the power of women voices in voters. And to discuss this very important issue with me is a woman of politics, a woman who is a politician, a dynamic woman who has created a niche for herself. Is no other person than Chika Kumle. We'll watch her resume and we will be back shortly. And the program is Gender and Parliament on NTA. And this is our parliamentary channel.
From an early age, Chika Kumle showcased her dedication to social betterment by funding One Love Daily, a movement aimed at putting an end to drug abuse and violence by nurturing a healthy environment for youth to flourish. Notably, Chika made history as the first woman to contest in a general election for the State House of Assembly in Plateau State, Nigeria. A remarkable achievement also extends to being one of the youngest female candidates registered with the Independent National Electoral Commission during the 2019 general election. Adding to her list of accomplishments, she holds the prestigious title of the first female to contest and win the chairmanship of the Plateau Youth Council in Pangshin local government area. In 2023, she further solidified her commitment to serving the people by vying for the Federal House of Representatives seat, aiming to represent the Pangshin Kanke Kanam Federal Constituency. Recognized globally for her influential and inspirational work, Chika has received numerous awards, honors, and accolades. She was celebrated as one of the top 20 global women of excellence in 2020, a well-deserved honor bestowed upon her in Chicago, USA for outstanding contributions, and other accolades include the Outstanding Female Politician of the Year, Inspiring Humanitarian Award, and Visionary African Woman, amongst others.
It's a pleasure to have you on set on our program Gender and Parliament. And can you tell us a bit about yourself?
My name is Chika Kumle. I am a politician and a gender advocate. I currently serve as the Executive Director for Women Development Monitoring Initiative. We educate, empower, and build the capacity of women to take on leadership roles.
Okay.
Yes.
What inspired you to go into politics? Because you look young to me.
Yes,
And have you
absolutely.
held any political office before?
Okay, so to start with the first, what inspired me to go into politics? First is the passion for my people. I come from a very humble background, and I've stayed with the people. I've seen a lot of issues and a lot of problems around. So what started was the question of why are we having what we're having? And to answer that question is to answer the question of leadership. And because politics avails us the process through which our leaders emerge, I decided to be the answer to that question, to be part of the solution and not be part of the problem. So I've long had passion for politics. I've been very active in politics since 2011 to date, and I ran for office twice. In the 2019 general elections, I was a candidate for State House of Assembly to represent Pangshin South constituency in the Plateau State House of Assembly. And in 2023, I contested for Federal House of Representatives to represent Pangshin Kanke Kanam in the Federal House of Representatives. And after the two contests, I still remain very active in politics, and I will remain very active in politics so long as democracy is practiced in Nigeria.
What do you think women play in shaping the political landscape in Nigeria?
Women are very key and important in the conversations about nation building. First, because Nigerian women are very competent, very intelligent, very educated, very sound, but most importantly, women lead from the heart. They are very concerned about everybody's welfare. And looking at the Nigerian context of politics and governance, It is a space where we need more women to be involved in decision-making processes. We need more women in rooms where decisions are being made. And this should happen at every strata of leadership, at the national and the subnationals. And talking about solving the Nigerian problem, women constitute half of the Nigerian population, which means they are half of the capacity to solve the Nigerian problem. So having them in rooms where decisions are being made is not about dismantling culture, and also is not about competing with the men, but it's simply a conversation of saying half of the country's capacity to solve problems is in the room, because women have ideas and they come with a different perspective to solving problems. So when you have them involved in politics and governance, it's just a no-brainer that issues are going to be at the front burner, and is going to embrace the entirety of the population. Because all the people that are leading us, they are not just leading men, they are leading women, because women are part of the population. Yeah. And again, because women have a special place in creation, God has endowed women with the capacity to give birth and nurture children. So everything that concerns children and young people are very dear and close to the hearts of women. So having them in governance and politics is simply building the space up, opening the space up, and ensuring that the people you lead are also part of the problem solving.
Because we're discussing the power of women voices and voters.
Yes.
So what does it entail the woman to go all out for her voice to be heard and learned?
First, anytime a woman is trying to get herself involved in conversations about leadership, governance, and politics, because of our patriarchal society, people will begin to ask you questions. Why are you doing this? Because the society has been one that has been controlled by gender norms, where they made it to look like women are meant to be only for domestic, but not to be involved in public engagements like politics and leadership. So anytime a woman is coming up to be a politician, to be active, to have her voice heard, there are lots of challenges that comes in. People are questioning whether you're trying to dismantle the gender norms that have been placed. You don't want to be in your home, be quiet, be seen but not heard. So a lot of times the barriers that exist to women's active participation in these spaces come from these gender norms and because of the patriarchy that I said. So this is a conversation I believe we should have as Nigerians every day, because the more women want to go into that space, the more the stakes are being heightened. The barriers are being artificially created and deliberately created to keep women out. So on my own personal level, I'll tell you, since I started politics, I met some challenges on ground. And also those challenges I met on ground are still there. And we also have emerging challenges. Challenges like violence in politics for women is very high. And that violence comes in different forms. It can be physical, it can be verbal, it can be online. I've been a victim of all of it. And it can also be sexual harassment. Then there's also the monetization of the politics, where every process from your consultations to effectively campaigning, every process is monetized. And because these processes are monetized, and a lot of women do not have the economic power or the financial muscle to compete with the men, it becomes extremely difficult for them. That it is. Okay. Yes.
Okay, from the word you said stereotyping, right?
Yes.
So how can these men support and amplify the voices of women?
Okay, first, this discrimination on asking women questions that are not being asked men should stop. When a woman is going into politics, there are certain questions that she's always being questioned and asked, but those questions are not asked the men. For example, if I'm running for office, people will be asking, okay, where is your husband from? How many children do you have? How do you manage the home and still take care of your office work? But when a man is running, even if he has 20 wives and 30 children, nobody gets to ask him all of that. And that tends to shape how people perceive women, as if they don't have the capacity to manage their home and still have the capacity to effectively discharge their responsibilities. But the good thing is God himself have designed women with the capacity to multitask. So I'm right in the office, I'm already thinking, what will I do in the home, in the night, by tomorrow morning, how will the family feed, and how is everybody's welfare? So because women have that capacity to multitask, it does not stop their responsibilities anywhere. And again, that's to address stereotypes. Culture and tradition has limited a lot of women. So because of all those things, men tend to hold it against women. They say, you're trying to dismantle our culture. You're trying to bring in new things that have not been done before. But then I always tell people, of what use is your culture if that culture does not change to improve the life of your people? Of what use is your tradition if it does not change to improve the livelihoods of the people? Another thing that men need to do now in Nigeria is there's the reserved seats bill before the National Assembly. We are appealing to them to see this bill as a bill to uphold Nigeria's democracy and get to strengthen our democracy. Why? Because this bill seeks to provide extra additional seats in the National Assembly and also the states' assemblies. Their seats are intact. Nobody is taking anybody's seats. So there's no need for them to fear. They are simply going to create extra seats where women will compete amongst themselves from different political parties, go through the rigor of campaigning and being on the ballot to be voted. If we have those seats in the parliament, it will still not make it up to 50% gender balance in the parliament. So absolutely there's no any fear that women are coming to dominate the house. It's simply that we're going to have more voices in the room, more ideas in the room, and more perspectives to shaping the policies that are being drafted for the country. Because the current data that exists for the representation of women in the national parliament and the state assemblies are extremely poor. So if we have this reserved seats bill with the support of men to have our National Assembly members vote for it, then at the end of the day, the kind of policies that will be drafted for Nigeria will be different. Because what these women will be bringing in is a different perspective to seeing those problems. What has been happening over the years is we have people in the room trying to shave our hair in our absence. There is a way I'll speak about the need to reshape the health policies in the country, because I'm a mother, I'm a wife, like I engage with other women, I know what the issues are. It's going to slightly differ from what the man sees. And that's what we're bringing in. Again, issue of security, which is a basic necessity. And currently we're greatly challenged, every part of Nigeria. Why? Because security, just as politics, is a local issue. We have women across all states, all local governments, all the villages and corners of this country. We have women who even stay at home. They know who comes in and who goes out. And security, to solve security problem, you need intelligence. You cannot have intelligence without information. And a lot of those informations are domiciled with the women. But because the women are not in the room to make those decisions, a lot of times, a lot of those information don't get to where it's needed. So if you pick out every sector to dissect, you will see that there's a need for us to have women. So I'm calling on all Nigerian men to please support the reserved seats for women's bill. It's very important. And again, we have over 14 states in Nigeria where there's no single woman in the state assembly. A state like my state, Plateau State, we don't have a single woman in the state assembly, which means that House Committee Chairman on Women Affairs and Children is being headed by a man. with all respect, there is a limit to what he will understand about our issues. So it's only a matter of necessity that we have women in the State Assembly. And that is why the bill is also proposing that we have one woman from each senatorial district in the state, so that at the end of the assembly, we will have at least 3 women in the House. And because their existing seats will not be taken, there's no need for anybody to be frightened that the women are coming to take in anything. We are simply saying, can you open this space up a little bit so that women will come in to complement the effort? Because I must say, Nigerian men have tried. They've tried since independence, long before independence, leading this country. But right now, can we have more people who are part of the population to come in? And by the way, this is democracy. Democracy is a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. But as it stands, that definition is not complete in Nigeria, because a critical mass of that population, who are the people, are not in that room. So we need women, we need young people, and also we need people with disabilities, because they are also a critical mass of the population, and you cannot solve a problem in the absence of the people that you lead. So it's simply a matter of having a leadership that reflects the people they govern.
There's this adage that says, he who wears the shoes knows where it pinches. So back on this reserved seats for women, the bill, do you think it will be sustained even when established?
So the reserved seats bill is a temporary measure that will last for only 4 general elections, that is 16 years. Yes. It is believed that in the course of these 16 years, when we have this number of women in the room, 37 in the Senate, 37 in the House of Representatives, and 3 women across all the 36 states and the FCT, it then means in the 16 years, there's going to be more women who have been exposed to the corridor of power, more women who have been exposed to having responsibilities about making laws for the country. So it is a no-brainer that after 16 years, we're going to have these women move from those reserved seats to the open field, where they will favorably compete with the men. And what that bill, I know the reserved seats bill is not a silver bullet. It's not going to address all the challenges women are facing. But at the moment, it will solve one of the major problems, which is the gross underrepresentation of women. And why we need to do that as a matter of urgency as a country is because Nigeria is the lowest in terms of ranking of women's political participation and representation. We have 4.9%, extremely poor. It's only good that we take advantage of the amendment process to also put in the reserved seats bill, so that we'll have more women in Parliament. And the thing is not only about women being in Parliament. I am a strong advocate that women should also be part of the political party structure. Because across all political parties, we only have most of the offices being manned by men. The only thing you see within the party structure is a woman leader. One woman among EXCO members that are all men. What strength will that be? And her voice will definitely not be loud enough to make decisions. And also why we need those women in the political parties is because we don't have independent candidacy provision in the Nigerian constitution. So everything starts and ends with the political parties. And if we have them in the party structure, then we are going to be having more women being candidates at the general election, because everything starts with the party nominating. From the delegates, they get to vote the candidate. So it's a process. We need the reserved seats on one side, but we also need the political parties to open their space up so we can have women as chairmen of parties, secretaries, youth leaders, because women are good mobilizers. Yeah, of course. I've been in politics for a while now, and I can tell you any form of campaign that you have and involve the women. And because, again, women are very loyal. If they tell you, I'm supporting you, they'll go with you to the end. And so we need them within the political party structures to ensure that their mobilization capacity is being utilized, not just for women, but for everybody. Okay. So women can leverage on their voting power because they have the capacity to effectively mobilize from the campaigns and also delivering at the polling units. So women, because we have the data that shows that women are very committed voters. What even happens at my polling units is 5 a.m., 6 a.m., you see women coming to the voting booths, using stones to book their lines. They go back home, cook for the family, clean, and come back to vote. So because of this very commitment that women have in delivering votes for their preferred candidates, right now they need to galvanize themselves to speak in one voice and ensure that they have an agenda that they are driving. And that agenda should not be centered only about voting candidates because of political parties, but it should be across board, because we have competent women in all political parties. And also, not just women, we have good men allies who are running for offices, who also see the need for them to open their doors for women.
We women, we are our own problems. Because you find out that some women will say, this one, only God knows what she's doing to achieve,
whatever it is. Yes.
So what's your take on that?
Okay. I'm a victim of all this. A lot of things have been said about me. Things I never imagined have been said about me. But because I know I am not in politics for myself, I'm in politics for my people, I block my ears to all those noise, and I remain focused. Because right from day one, I have the understanding that politics can be brutal sometimes. Yeah. Lots of lies, lots of propaganda, and the moment you are running for office, people will deploy all forms of strategy to stop you. And so when they say women are against women, I also say it's a matter of interest, because politics is a game of interest. So when your interest does not align with mine, it doesn't mean I hate you. It simply means our interest does not align. But that narrative, I'll tell you, is just a narrative that is created to keep women fighting amongst themselves and to keep them grounded. Because men do go for elections. They come out with 0 votes. Nobody says men are against men. I know of men who have run for office more than twice. Nobody says men are against men. I know some men that have run 5 times before they eventually emerge. Nobody says men is against men. But once a woman goes in for an election and she doesn't win, they'll say women are against women. So it's a simple matter of a narrative that strengthens these gender norms that we talked about, to keep women fighting amongst themselves, to keep them clashing. But it's also an opportunity for us to say to the women that you need to understand the game of politics. You need to know how power works. And you need to position yourself in that place where you have the opportunity to assess the power, so that you'll be able to deploy whatever idea you have, whatever passion you have for your country. Because until you have that opportunity, you can only do little. But because of the style of leadership that we practice in Nigeria, once you are in power, it gives you access to resources, access to privileges to manage people and resources. So women should be able to channel themselves into those spaces and forget about this narrative. Women don't hate women. Sometimes the men even assassinate themselves. Nobody says the men are against men. So it's like that. It's a game of politics, and also there's a lot of propaganda in politics. So they use that as a weapon to also pitch the women against themselves. Yes. But women are competent leaders. And I believe Nigeria will be better for it when we have more women in leadership. Yes.
As young girls, women, watching the program, and they have seen you speak, what advice do you have for them who want to aspire like you or want to go into politics? What advice do you have for them?
Okay. First.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Did you hear my voice?
Yes. Okay. To every young woman out there watching, you are the leader Nigeria is waiting for. You are the generation of women that we have been looking for. Develop a thick skin. Ensure that whatever people are saying about you doesn't get to your head, because people will always have something to say about you, whether you do good or you do bad. And I always tell young women, you go to the same class with the boys, you attend the same lessons, and in most instances, some of you even beat them in class. So who tells you that you don't have a place in leadership? You can be a governor, you can be a senator, you can be a chairman of your local government, and we look forward to a day that this country will be led by a woman, having a woman president. And I always say this, you have a place in leadership. And this is not about you fighting men. It's about you contributing your quota to national development. So I look forward to seeing more of you in politics, and I also hope that in the next election we'll see young women running for offices. And if you run for office and you don't win, don't give up. The men also run multiple times. It's simply a game of interest that if it doesn't work for you today, it might work for you tomorrow. But most importantly, ensure that you remain very active in politics and ensure that your voices are heard, because you all have a voice. And we need your voice in conversations about leadership, about politics, and about governance. And most importantly, you are a Nigerian to contribute to its national development.
Pleasure to have had you on the program. One takeaway that I will take from you today on this program is ladies should have or develop a thick skin.
Absolutely.
So thank you for coming once more on the program. Go out there, contribute your own little quarter, and be a good and humble Nigerian. The program remains Gender on Parliament. See you next week.